Hello, everybody. My name is Franklin, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about my Spanish progress in July 2021. Again, my name is Franklin, and this is First 1,000 Hours. So let's get right into the presentation. I'm going to share with you some things I like to talk to you about, and some things I don't, but I'm going to be real and honest with you about what I've done this year. So, okay, or in this past month. So in July 2021, I watched 0 hours of a Spanish course. So I didn't watch anything, right, of Spanish courses. And I read approximately 34 pages of Consejos para los Maestros. And it's this book right here. And I'm still on it. So I'm still reading it. And I'm basically still reading it for the most part without Google Translate. But I do use Google Translate on occasion, but I need to finish this book. It's really nice about Christian education. All right, and I want to go on in this presentation. All right, so what I need to do to complete my 2 big Spanish goals, this is what I need to do. I need to watch 188.97 hours of Spanish courses before 2021 ends. All right, so honestly, that might not happen. All right, so there's a good possibility that that might not happen, but I'm still going to push toward that. And I will tell you right now, I have a subscription to LinkedIn Learning. And so if I do not watch an hour or more of LinkedIn Learning this month in August, then I'm going to cancel my subscription because I'm paying for it and I need to use it. So I want to go ahead and do that and take some more courses, or at least one course or whatever, depending on how long it is. All right, so I'll tell you some other things that I need to do. I need to read 1,513 pages in Spanish before 2021 ends. So I will continue to let you know about that. So I have a long way to go there as well. Again, if you do not know this, my 2 big goals for 2021 in Spanish was to read 2,000 pages, anything I would want to do, and then also watch 200 hours of any type of Spanish course I choose. All right, so I just want to let you know and be honest and keep on giving these progress updates no matter what, basically in my Spanish journey. So that's what I'm doing right now. All right, so I want to share with you some other things that are worth mentioning. And again, if you're here and you want to ask me some questions, hey, this is your time. I feel like this is a time where I think mostly probably people that have subscribed to this channel might want to know more about things I'm doing or whatever, or talk about language learning progress. So it's up to you if you want to ask me some questions. All right, so other things worth mentioning. All right, I want to tell you that I've also been in Spanish Zoom meetings. I continue to do things like that. And so, for instance, I know this was in August, but last night I was at a Zoom meeting. And on Saturday morning, I was at a Zoom meeting. And then last Tuesday, I was in a Zoom meeting. So it's basically, I continually am in Zoom meetings, and they're with people from different countries. A lot of times it's from Costa Rica, but the one I was in last night, I don't think that all those people are from Costa Rica. I believe at least one person is from Guatemala, and I'm not sure exactly where all these people are from. But anyway, I'll tell you more about that in a second. All right, so I go to Zoom meetings, and then one thing I want to talk about in one of those Zoom meetings was reading in Spanish. I'm reading a book in this Zoom meeting, or I'm with other people, and I don't do it as much as I should. I'm like in a book club, and what we're doing is we're reading a book on the second coming of Jesus and things like that. And so I try to keep up. I mean, actually, I don't. I do part of what I could do in the reading club, but one thing I do is I'm striving to come there on Mondays. And so that's a time where these people read the book together, and we go through like 5 pages. And so basically we take around 2 paragraphs each, and then we'll read, and there might be anywhere from around like 7 people in the group to maybe, I don't know, 12 people in the group reading, at least when I've come there. And so, you know, you hear the native Spanish speakers speak, which I'm assuming they're native, and then it's my turn, because what'll happen is there'll be somebody that reads, you know, their 2 paragraphs, and then they choose someone else to read. And when I read, I remember I was reading, and I know there's a difference between what I read and what they're reading, my accent and their accent and all this stuff. I have a American accent. It doesn't sound like I speak Spanish. I mess up and all that. But I remember one time when I was doing this, because I've been there like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times now. I was like, you know what? A paragraph is big, but I'm gonna just focus on what I can do. That's like a motto of mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to not look at that paragraph or those 2 paragraphs as paragraphs, but I'm going to look at them as words, a collection of words. And I'm going to read, if I can read one word, I can read another word, and I can read another word, and I can get through that. And so that's what I've done. And I think outside of the time where we read together and all those type of things, I'm going to try to read that book out loud a little bit and get a little bit more prepared for the time when I go into the Zoom meeting. They read like together 5 days a week, but it just doesn't work with my schedule. It's a little bit later in the night. They're in a different time zone than me, but I still am there when, at least on Monday, at least right now. And then I can read the book outside of the club. Outside of that time period. And I even took a quiz that they have that they've encouraged people to take about the reading as well. So I'm thankful to put myself in something that is a little bit out of my box and all of that and all that. So, okay, let's look at this. All right. So Ruby, you're saying that's intimidating. And I would say, yeah, it is definitely challenging. But this is the thing, and I'm gonna piggyback on. I'm going to kind of veer a little bit and tell you a little bit of my thought process on going into a native with native Spanish speakers reading this book, about the second coming and all this, and knowing that you're messing up. I think there's 2 different mindsets when you're talking about like learning. And I was just thinking about that. One of the mindset, and this is where I lean heavily toward, it is I'm excited about progress. And I think that sometimes one of the things that is scary is being more concerned about achievement. So it's like I should ask, like, what are you more focused on? Are you focused on progress, continual progress, or are you more focused on the achievement that you gain? And so this channel is more so based on, I would say, continual progress. And then the results, I think the results will come later. So I know that going in there, and you could say going into the gym, putting the reps out there and all that, being able to speak with these native Spanish speakers, it just is going to up my game because I'm surrounded. It's like I'm going to the Olympics. I'm surrounded with native Spanish speakers, and I can only get better, especially because I'm listening to them speak and all that as well. And then I can put in time outside of being with them to actually do even a better job, I believe, in the future. So I look at where I am right now and I'm like, okay, yeah. And sometimes I feel like, I can feel a little bit of like my face being a little bit hot, but you can't really tell because I have a dark face. So that's like a nice thing. But at the same time, I know that it's going to get better. And so I'm okay with the process. And I think that if my mindset was more so on achievement, then I would stop that because I'm like, I'm not there. But I think that sometimes that actually stops you from having that process of learning. When you look at children and things like that, they are just curious. They're inquisitive. They keep on like exploring things and all of that. And that's kind of how my mindset is. And I think that I get to grow. I give myself space to grow with that type of mindset. And then I'm with people that give me the opportunity to read. They could have just said like, Franklin, stop, don't read anymore. But even last night, I mean, they even someone asked me to give opening prayer. And so that was a challenge at the beginning when I was in some Zoom meetings last year. And I would say it's still, I'm still getting there, but I'm thankful, I did it and I'm going to keep on going. All right. I see what you also said, Ruby. You said I give you credit. So thank you for that. And I'm telling you my stories because I want to encourage you as well. And your language learning marathon, I can tell you, like, accept challenges, but I have to also do that myself. And that's what I can say. I could talk about challenges. I should say one more thing about that. You know, even I don't know if you saw my last video where I was speaking in Spanish, made a lot of mistakes. And if you know some Spanish, you know I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with speaking on camera. Not, I mean, doing a live stream. First of all, doing a live stream in English was a little bit intimidating when I first was doing that. But I'm now being more and more comfortable speaking in my second language, Spanish. And I can see myself in the future even doing interviews in Spanish on this channel and on live. I'm not talking about pre-recorded. Maybe it might be pre-recorded sometimes, but potentially live. I'm not saying I'm going to do a lot of those, but I'm okay with doing different challenges. All right. Okay, so I want to also put my string back on so I can remember some other things I need to talk about here. Okay, and also I'm still working on with a friend on a Spanish comprehension mini course, and I mean, I'm really excited about this because, and my friend is the one that she's the one that's speaking in Spanish, but there's a lot of elements that I really want to talk about, and you know, it's tedious. What we're doing is tedious. It's been a process. I look back at our old video I did on First 1,000 Hours, and I was talking about something about like this around a year ago, and it's like, wow, we haven't even, it's not ready yet, but it should be ready sometime by the end of this year. And I believe this is going to help people be able to comprehend Spanish from day one. And we're really excited about giving that opportunity to a lot of people in this unique way, I believe. But we'll talk more about that later, and my friend will be on the live stream when we do that as well. All right, so I want you to remember this, like I try to say on my live streams, you can be inspired by others, but you compete only against yourself. And remember Philippians 4 and verse 13 that says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. All right, so I want to share with you the progress. Okay, so from January to July 2021, I read approximately 487 pages, 34 in July. And so I think probably, I forgot to look at this before, but probably July was like my worst month in terms of reading in Spanish. I read a little bit more than that, but let's say 34 pages. But, you know, it still accumulates, all right, as well. And so I want to just stop right here. And so Ruby said this. Ruby said, I saw it, buen trabajo. I am trying to stay motivated. So I want to ask you, Ruby, just really curious, what is your why? Like, why are you wanting to learn Spanish? And are you rating your progress based on achievement or actual continual progress? And so I would like, I'm just curious, you know, like I said, this live stream can be as long as you, basically it can be pretty long or it can be pretty short. I mean, a lot of times no one's here, so I just talk and then I finish. But if there's interactivity, then I can continue. So I want to really know, like, again, what is your why? And then how are you rating how well you're doing in Spanish? I will tell you, like, I am able to do a lot of things I actually like to do. I actually like this book outside of it being in Spanish. Like, this is a book about Christian education. I like it. I also like interacting with people from other countries, and I get to do that. And we get to talk about the second coming. Or I like to sometimes look at videos on technology in Spanish. I learned about Zapier. I learned something about Zapier, which is something I want to learn more about how to use because it automates processes and all that. We could go deep in that, but I saw like there's a video in Spanish that I want to learn to know more about that. And, you know, I learned more about a lot of different things like YouTube ads. I took a course in that in Spanish with LinkedIn Learning. And so I've just tried to incorporate Spanish in my day-to-day. And then even working on this like mini course, and it's like, whoa, I didn't even know how to even do a digital course, and learn so many different things like that. And I could talk a lot about different things I like to do. But I would say that one thing that's a blessing to me is I have a friend that when I'm like, you know, I'm like not doing my best or this or that, she just has encouraged me so much. And that's one of the reasons I even tried to do this channel, was because I know that sometimes our struggle is not the fact of whether or not we can actually accomplish things in Spanish. Sometimes our struggle is we don't believe that we can actually learn the language. We don't believe that we can actually get to a high level. We don't believe there's self-doubt that actually prevents us from achieving our own potential, our own God-given potential in the language. And so I know that that's one of the reasons I like to talk and share my struggles and share this, because I'm like, hey, I've been there. I've been in situations that people have done, but I want to keep on going. All right. And so I hope that can be an example in the moment, in the process. All right. So again, if you want to answer that question, please. All right. So this is what I can say. Again, I have read approximately 487 pages in Spanish this year, and I've read over 4,167 pages from 2018 to July 2021. All right. So again, when you look at things, from a month basis or from a week basis or something like that, it's like, oh, what am I really doing? But then it's good to look backwards. And that's the cool thing about being able to document progress. Like, you can look backwards and then you're like, whoa, there's so much that I have actually done. When you look at the actual challenge you're facing, and it's like, oh man, I don't know exactly how to do this or whatever, and it's hard, but you forget sometimes, or we forget how far we've come. All right. And so I thank God for how far I've come in this language. All right. And so let's continue here. So what I want to do in August 2021, hopefully I'll be able to do this. I've been meaning to want to do this for a while, but I'm still working on that mini course. So I'm telling you, this is a tentative thing I want to do. And it's the Spanish versus Portuguese video part 2. I was documenting my experience reading, listening, reading, and then listening again to the first chapter of my first Portuguese book that I was reading. And so I was doing that without Google Translate. And so I was talking in the moment. And so I just need to record that. I'm sorry, I already recorded. I just need to edit it and then go into that. And no matter if you're learning Portuguese or not, I believe that will help you to understand some of the principles of how can you go into a language from day one. And well, it was not really day one, but I'm not really studying Portuguese. So, I mean, I've looked at some things in Portuguese, but not really. But it's like, how do you go into a new language and have the mindset to go into that? And so that's what I really think people will get from that video. All right. So I want to put this up. So this is the why for Ruby. Ruby says this: I want to travel again and communicate without Google Translate. And I want to tell you, you can do that. And this is the thing. This is the thing that I want to encourage you with. And I was thinking to do this in a different video, and I might still do that. And I asked 2 people this question, and I want you to think about this, and whoever is watching this. And it was this question: can you speak in Spanish for 24 hours, just all in Spanish? And I asked this question to people that don't have a really high level of Spanish or high knowledge of Spanish. And I was just really interested in their response, because it really brings out a point. And so I want you to really think about that before I just tell you my response. What do you think? Can you speak for 24 hours without saying anything else but things in Spanish? And the response in my mind, this is my response. If I had like a very basic knowledge of Spanish, it would be this: yes. I think a lot of people would say, no, I can't do that, because, and the reason is, and this is what happens, you kind of think about, okay, well, I don't know how to say this, I don't know how to say that, I don't know how to say this and that. And so what you're focusing on sometimes, or what people can focus on, and this is, okay, let me put this up, so because this illustrates this as well. Ruby, you say, no, I can't yet. Exactly. And I think that's a typical response that people will say about communication. They can't do it, right? Because what are we doing? We focus on everything we can't say. But at the same time, I want to put this up again. You say, I want to travel again and communicate without Google Translate. And what I know about you is you're on this channel. You looked at a video. When I was fumbling in my words, I guess, speaking in Spanish and other things like that. I know you know at least one Spanish word. And I bet you know a lot more than just one Spanish word, but I know you know at least one Spanish word. And if you have the mindset that you can focus on what you can do, that's going to help. And I'll give you a story, okay? And I've shared this on my channel when I went to a Spanish church, right? And I went there, and I think I went there like 4 times in a row. And on my 4th time, if I remember correctly, it was the worst level of comprehension I had out of those times. And I was like, what's happening to me? I should be progressing, but it's like I'm regressing. And then I talked to my language motivational partner. I was like, Connie, I don't know what's happening to me. And also in that experience, what happened is I went there and I was talking to people, and instead of me using words I already knew, like hola, mucho gusto, I started just talking to people in English because I listened to the service. I didn't get them. I didn't really understand what was happening. And so then I was like, let me just speak in English instead of using the Spanish I already had. And so if I had a challenge where someone's asking me to speak in a language that I really don't have a good knowledge of, but I know a few words, I'm going to capitalize on speaking and focusing on what I can do. So let me tell you, this is what I would need to know in a foreign language, okay? Basically, if I know what is this, if I can say what is this in another language, and then maybe one other thing I forgot, like what is this, and then how do I say this? Okay, if I have those 2 phrases, I can make it in the language. And so instead of me looking at everything I don't have, I'm gonna use everything I don't know. So guess what? How am I going to gain vocabulary? I'm going to point. For instance, let's look at this right here. I can have this phone. I can say, what is this in the foreign language? Someone can tell me what that is. When I approach the person, I'm probably going to hear them say something to me. They might say hola, for instance. They might say something like hello in the foreign language, or privyet if it's Russian, or something like that. So I'm going to pay attention to what people are saying. I'm going to notice things they're going to say, and then I can mimic what they say. And then I might ask, I might point to the ground. I might say, how do you say this? Or what is this? And then how do you say this? And then let's say, and so someone could say like, how do you say, like, if you had to say like, how do you go to the bathroom or something like that? I could have a picture on my phone, right? I could Google on my phone a picture of the bathroom, and then I could maybe point to that and say, I don't know. I don't know. I have to figure that out a little bit, but I could have a question mark, and I could look curious or something like that. I could use my hand movements. I could use my body language. I can use everything I already have to make up for the things I don't have, so that I'm going to advance in the language, even though I don't have every single word in the vocabulary. So my mindset, and I think a main principle of this channel, is focus on what you can do. And I think so many times what we do is we focus on what we can't do, and we let that focus stop us from doing the things we can do. And so sometimes, like, you might see somebody that is a native Spanish speaker, and instead of saying hola, mucho gusto, you greet them in English. It's like, why not take that plunge and say the things that you already know? And then if you get stuck, then you can work around that, and maybe you have to switch to English a little bit if you're in the United States or something like that. But use what you have. And I think the people that actually use what they have, those are the people that see the seed grow. It's like you might have that tiny seed, like if you're talking about gardening, right? In order for that seed to grow, you have to put the seed in the ground. You know what I'm talking about? You can look at the seed and you can be like, oh man, all I got is a seed in the language, right? All I have is a seed. But another person is going to say, you know what? While people are looking at that seed and saying everything that they can't do with that seed, there's going to be another person that's going to say, hey, I'm going to get my seed and I'm going to put that in the soil. And I know I'm going to have some effort. I'm going to have to put some water in that. I'm going to have to maybe take some bugs out. And that seed is going to turn into a tree, and yeah. So I look at what you say here, Ruby. You say exactly. That's a great point. I can tell you one more story, I guess. And on this, because really I can keep on talking about language learning, but I mean, it's like, for instance, when you look at me, it's like, even talking about the mini course, and I have my friend on talking about this as well. It's like, how in the world am I working on a Spanish comprehension mini course when I make mistakes in Spanish, speaking in Spanish, right? But I think I have things to share. I've read over 4,000 pages in Spanish. I've listened to countless hours of Spanish and I've done a lot of activities, but I still have messed up and done all this stuff. But I have chosen to focus on the things I can do. And also I have a good friend that, when you actually see what she does, you'll see that it's nice to work together, but our combined strengths come together. And so we have something where I understand the struggle of a language learner, but at the same time, I understand principles of comprehension, and I understand a course that I would potentially want if I was starting out. And then my friend has, the speaking, and she has the enthusiasm and creativity, and we like to learn new things. And so we get to come together and produce something that would be so much, that's going to help other people. But if I did not focus on what I could do, that would never come out. It would never come out. And so I want to tell you that you get that seed of Spanish and you put that in the soil, you water that, and you grow, and you realize that the time for communication is not when you're in that other country and you're traveling. You start doing that right now, because you can do that right now. I'm talking to people in other countries right now, even though I haven't traveled to Honduras, which I want to do in the future. I haven't traveled to Costa Rica, which I want to do in the future. But I'm able to talk to those people right now. So guess what? When I go to Costa Rica, God willing, or when I go to Honduras, it's going to be a lot more comfortable. And people will want to talk to me, because guess what? Even when I talk and even when I speak and all that, it's like in their mind, in some of these people's minds, I believe they're like, man, if this brother's coming out here reading this book and not stopping, and he's keeping on coming and being consistent, it's like, man, I probably need to put that type of effort in learning English or whatever language I'm seeking to do as well. So anyway, that's a long answer. I know how to talk. But I wanted to give you some motivation. I think that's sometimes what we come to a channel like this for. And I wanted to give you something practical that you can take with you, so that you can know that, you can see the seed of your Spanish growing into a tree that cannot be shaken. All right. Man, I have another thing. I got to tell you this. I got to tell this to you too. I was at a conference one time. It was last year. And pastor was saying this. It was like an optional worship service. And I hope I'll never forget this. This was about entrepreneurial principles. And he said, many times we are praying to God for like 30-foot trees or something like that, but God gives us acorns. And it's like, what are we going to do if we want that tree? We gotta see how are we going to deal with the acorn. That's going to determine the tree that we get. And that's how it is with language learning, in my opinion. All right. So let's continue here. All right. And so I also have weekly emails that I want to do and send out to my email list. And so I have a description in a link in the description of this video of weekly to get on the weekly email list. And so I even talked about this idea of speaking for 24 hours. I sent that out, and I just sent out different things I want to talk to you about with language learning. And so if you want to be a part of the email list, you're able to do that. And Ruby, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today. And that looks like that's all of my slides. And you can always connect with me on live streams. That's, because it's in the moment, right? And also be able to connect with me on the comments. And, I want to say one last thing before I end, at least at this moment, is I've been testing out different live streaming software. And it looks like StreamYard is pretty much working. And that opens up being able to have people be able to come on this live stream that I choose. I'm not saying everybody's going to come on this live stream, but people that I choose. And so I think that dynamic of having interviews, I think that's going to be really fun. All right. And so I want to post this on here. It says, thanks for this information. We'll reset. I'll be here for a few more minutes. We'll watch the replay later. All right, Ruby. Nice talking with you, and I will see you later. And bye bye.